Okay, here's the thing. Usually as a games critic, I'm looking for something that will blow me away with new gameplay ideas, new concepts, and interesting stories. Essentially, one of the traps when you start looking at games on a critical basis is that you start to prioritize novelty. So when I started playing Pressure Overdrive, I wasn't particularly grabbed. This is a game that could pretty much have been made 15 years ago with almost no changes. I'm serious. I had about 6 games for my PS1 that Pressure Overdrive would fit right in with. So, review done, right? Well, fortunately, I didn't feel entirely comfortable with judging it that quickly. Because here's the thing that almost always gets lost in that game critic hunt for novelty. Designing something that does its job capably is hard. Designing something that can be genuinely fun while being something that you've played before is really difficult. So here's the basic premise. Our hero wakes up one day, gets ready to go for a swim, and discovers that all of the water has been stolen by the evil villain, Baron Soap. Baron Soap has stolen all of the water in the world for his Uber spa. So we hop into our steam buggy. Hold up, steam buggy? What's in our steam buggy? But of course, that's not important because Edgar, our ridiculously French tutorial giver, recruits us to join La Resistance, of course, and take the fight to Baron Soap. So we combine Micro Machine style driving with bullet hell style shooting in progressively more difficult tracks from which we will try to extract yet more gold, because even in a revolution, capitalism must thrive. And you know what? It's actually really good. Like, it's nothing revolutionary. This is never going to be anybody's favorite game, but the gameplay is solid, the weapons are unique and each encourage different playstyles, enemies are almost instantly recognizable and distinguishable from each other, and the music is catchy and pleasant without getting irritating. It's not art, but what it is craftsmanship. The key mechanic is managing your pressure. Pressure powers your weapons, but lower pressure also causes your buggy to move slower. This lends itself to a stamina system, similar to another game that is compared to literally everything, so we're not going to mention it. Dark Souls is everything. The weapons will use different amounts of power at different fire rates, which means your choice of weapon is actually a really key factor in your gameplay style. For example, this weapon is the flamethrower, which does a lot of damage, but only if you can sustain fire on your target. They'll regenerate the damage quickly if the fire is taken off them. So the obvious temptation is just to pour it on and soak the area, but this will use your pressure up quickly, which will not only leave you unable to fire, it'll leave you unable to even move reasonably well, exposing you to further attacks. All the other weapons have similar trade-offs, which makes investing your gold at the store a really interesting decision. Now all this isn't to say that it's without flaw. For one thing, it is shockingly short. Each level can be completed in about 3 to 4 minutes, and there's only about 33 in the entire game. The difficulty also doesn't have a particularly strong curve, meaning that you'll pretty much not ever be challenged until you get to the final 3 levels, at which point you'll hit to a massive difficulty spike. The power-ups will occur once per level, and they vary from a relatively useful rapid fire mode to an invincibility mode that's not particularly strong, to an ability called Love Touch, which turns enemy units over to your side for the remainder of the level and might as well be called the win game pickup. Also, there's 3 boss fights in this game, and they're all really good, but there's only 3 of them in the entire thing. Like seriously, all of these boss fights have their own unique mechanics, and they teach you them very gradually as you progress through them. They're kind of an exam on everything that's gone before, and they really explore a lot of what can be done with the idea of this particular style of gameplay. But you know what? If you get to the end of a game, and your biggest complaint is that it was too short, it's usually a sign it's a pretty good game. And you know what else? It's just straight up charming. I mean, something like this has to walk a really tight line to keep itself from veering into obnoxiousness. And for some of you, it'll probably cross that line. I mean, for one thing, these little robot guys are very close to just being straight up minions. But the slapstick style of the cutscenes and the baby's first steampunk aesthetic make this a really enjoyable experience for me. And also, let's be fair, this is clearly designed for kids, so if you need to babysit some and you can't really be bothered to yourself, this can occupy 1 or 2 children. At the end of the day, it's just a joyful demonstration of skill at your craft. It's a basic shooter made by people who want to make a basic shooter at the best of their ability. It's hard to make something that just works. And more than anything, that's what Pressure Overdrive really has going for it. It just works. I'm Stewart Griffin for Ready Up, and I recommend Pressure Overdrive. And I need a catchphrase. Put some suggestions in the comments for me. And of course, like and subscribe.